The massive glass dome of the Galactic Council Station sparkled with the light of 1,000 stars. Inside the main chamber, representatives from dozens of species gathered around a circular table that had witnessed countless negotiations. Today, like many days before, they faced another territorial dispute that threatened to tear apart the fragile peace of the Outer Rim. Ambassador Kim Tiho adjusted his simple black suit as he entered the chamber. His appearance was unremarkable by galactic standards: average height, dark hair neatly combed, and a warm smile that seemed permanently fixed on his face. The other delegates barely glanced at him as he took his seat. After 3 years of diplomatic service, most aliens saw him as just another harmless human mediator. The Vexian delegation dominated the left side of the chamber. Their insect-like bodies stood nearly 3 meters tall, with sharp mandibles that clicked nervously as they waited. High Commander Vexter, their leader, wore battle armor that gleamed under the artificial lights. His forearms moved in aggressive gestures as he spoke to his subordinates in their harsh, clicking language. On the right side, the Luminar representatives hummed in perfect harmony. These crystalline beings looked like living diamonds, their transparent bodies refracting light into beautiful rainbow patterns. Their leader, primary node Lumashira, pulsed with soft blue light as she communicated with her collective through frequencies that most species could barely hear. The Netherian delegates floated in the center of their section, their gas-like forms shifting between different colors. They had no fixed shape, but their leader, Warcloud Nethgarim, maintained a roughly humanoid outline. Occasionally, tendrils of his essence would reach out toward the other delegates, a gesture that everyone understood as barely controlled aggression. Captain Li Su-jin stood quietly near the wall behind Taiho. She wore the standard gray uniform of the human diplomatic corps, her hands clasped behind her back. To most observers, she appeared to be nothing more than ceremonial security. Her role was to escort the ambassador and look official during meetings. The aliens had grown used to seeing humans in such positions, present but not threatening. Council moderator Kexaloff called the session to order. The ancient being had overseen disputes for over 2 centuries, and his tired voice carried the weight of countless failed negotiations. He announced the purpose of the meeting in the standard galactic tongue, though everyone already knew why. They were there, the Kepler system, 3 inhabited worlds, rich in rare minerals. No clear ownership under galactic law. For the past 6 months, the 3 species had been moving military forces into the system. What started as mining claims had escalated into a full military standoff. Ships faced each other across the void, waiting for someone to make the first move that would start another galactic war. High Commander Vexter rose first, his massive frame casting a shadow across the table. When he spoke, his voice was like grinding metal. The Kepler system belongs to the Vexian Empire by right of first discovery. Our mining ships reached the system 47 cycles ago. We established the first permanent bases on Kepler. 2, the other species arrived later, and now claim what is ours. His mandibles clicked rapidly as he continued. We demand immediate withdrawal of all foreign military forces. If this does not happen within 10 cycles, we will remove them ourselves. Sid Empire has never backed down from a righteous fight. The Vexian delegation roared their approval, a sound that made several smaller species flinch. Vexter remained standing, his 4 arms crossed in a display of dominance that every predator species recognized. Primary node Lumashira responded with a series of harmonic tones that translated through the chamber's systems. The collective disagrees with the Vexian claims. Our deep space sensors detected the mineral deposits of Kepler 360 cycles ago. We transmitted our findings to the Galactic Registry before any physical ships arrived. Temporal priority belongs to the Luminar Collective. Her form pulsed with brighter light as she added, "We also note that Vrexian mining methods will destroy the unique crystal formations on Kepler. 2. These formations are sacred to our species. Their destruction would be an act of cultural genocide." Harmonics from the other Luminar delegates grew more intense, creating a sound that seemed to resonate in the bones of every organic being present. War cloud. Nithkareem's form darkened to a deep purple as he spoke. Both younger species showed their ignorance. The Nitharian deep hunt has claimed the void between stars for 300 cycles. The Kepler system lies within our traditional hunting grounds. We permit mining by others, but the system itself belongs to us. Its gaseous form expanded slightly, a threatening gesture that caused several security officers to step forward. We have been patient with the solid beings and their land hunger, but patience has limits. The deep hunt remembers when the galaxy was young, and these species were still learning to build fire. Taiho listened to each presentation with careful attention. He nodded at appropriate moments, occasionally making notes on his tablet. His expression remained neutral and understanding, the perfect image of a patient mediator, trying to find common ground between unreasonable parties. What none of the aliens noticed was how his eyes moved, while his face showed polite interest. His gaze constantly shifted between the delegates, cataloging details that had nothing to do with diplomacy. He noted the number of guards each delegation brought, the way they positioned themselves, the subtle tales that revealed their stress levels and decision-making patterns. Captain Sujin seemed to be staring at nothing, but her eyes were equally active. She had memorized the layout of the chamber within minutes of entering. She knew which delegates carried weapons, which exits were blocked, and exactly how long it would take to reach any point in the room. Her hands remained clasped behind her back, but her weight was distributed perfectly for instant movement. When the formal presentations ended, moderator Kexaloth turned to Taiho. "Ambassador Kim, the Galactic Council requests human mediation in this matter. Will humanity accept this responsibility?" Taiho's smile grew slightly warmer as he stood. "The United Earth Federation is honored by your trust. We have successfully mediated 47 territorial disputes in the past decade. We believe that peaceful coexistence serves everyone's interests better than conflict." He paused, looking at each delegation in turn. "I propose that we establish a joint commission to study the Kepler system. Each species will contribute experts to examine the legal, cultural, and practical aspects of the situation. We will review all claims and evidence before making recommendations." The alien delegates looked pleased with this suggestion. It was exactly the kind of reasonable, time-consuming solution they expected from humans. It would give them more time to position their forces while appearing to cooperate with galactic law. Vexter clicked his approval. "The Vrexian Empire accepts human mediation, though we expect swift resolution." Lumashira's form pulsed with agreement. The collective trusts human fairness in this matter. Nithkareem's colors shifted to a lighter shade. "The Deep Hunt will participate in this process." Taiho nodded graciously. "Excellent. We will begin our investigation immediately. I estimate we will need 30 cycles to complete our review." The session ended, and the delegates filed out. Taiho remained seated, still reviewing his notes. Captain Sujan approached and stood beside his chair. To any observer, she appeared to be waiting for orders. "Your assessment, Captain?" Taiho asked, quietly in Korean, a language that no translation system in the chamber could interpret. "Standard territorial posturing," she replied in the same language. "Vexter is overconfident. The Luminars are more scared than they're showing. The Netherians think they can intimidate everyone with their age and size." Taiho closed his tablet and stood. Time frame. "The Vrexians will move first if nothing changes. 2 weeks, maybe 3. The others will follow within days. Then we have enough time." Taiho's diplomatic smile never wavered, but something cold flickered in his eyes. Send the signal to Fleet Command. Operation Apex Hunter is authorized. As they left the chamber, neither human showed any sign that they had just initiated something that would change the galaxy forever. To anyone watching, there was simply another pair of diplomatic functionaries going about their peaceful business of preventing wars. But in the depths of space, human ships began to move. The bridge of the human flagship Soul's Pride hummed with quiet activity. Unlike the dramatic command centers shown in alien entertainment, the human bridge was designed for efficiency rather than display. Rows of workstations curved around a central platform where Colonel Park Min-ho stood studying three-dimensional tactical displays. The encrypted message had arrived exactly 12 minutes after the diplomatic session ended. 3 simple words in Korean: begin the hunt. Every human officer on the bridge knew what those words meant, though none of them showed any particular excitement. They had been preparing for this moment for months. Chief Navigator Ohiji pulled up star charts of the Kepler system on the main display. The 3 contested worlds appeared as glowing dots surrounded by the tactical positions of alien fleets. Red markers showed Rexian battlecruisers arranged in their traditional attack formation. Blue indicators marked the Luminor collective ships, positioned in perfect geometric patterns that maximized their shield overlap. Purple symbols represented the Netherian cloud ships, scattered throughout the system in what appeared to be random positions, but actually followed ancient hunting patterns. Analysis complete, sir, reported Lieutenant Commander Kim Yuna from the intelligence station. All 3 fleets are positioned exactly as predicted. They're following standard defensive doctrines from their military academies. Min-ho nodded without surprise. Human intelligence had been studying alien military tactics for decades. Every war game, every training exercise, every public military parade had been carefully observed and analyzed. The galaxy's species were remarkably predictable once you understood their basic nature. Dr. Yoon Mingi approached the central platform carrying a data tablet. As the fleet's xenobiologist and psychological warfare specialist, she had spent years studying how different species thought and reacted. Her work was considered academic research by most aliens who knew of it. They never suspected it was actually a comprehensive guide to manipulating their behavior. Psychological profiles are ready for review, she announced, activating a holographic display that showed detailed information about each species. The Vrexians are classic alpha predators. They respect only superior force and will submit to any power that can defeat them decisively. Their entire culture is built around dominance hierarchies. She gestured to the Vrexian fleet positions. High Commander Vexter is overconfident because he's never faced a species that could match Vrexian aggression. His tactical doctrine assumes the enemy will either flee or engage in direct combat. He has no experience with indirect warfare or psychological manipulation. The display shifted to show Luminor data. The Luminors are hive-minded, but not completely unified. They have individual nodes that can be targeted specifically. Primary node Lumashira controls 17 subordinate nodes in their fleet. If we can isolate her or disrupt her communications with the collective, their entire formation will become confused and defensive. Dr. Yoon continued with clinical precision. Their greatest fear is disconnection from the collective consciousness. They would rather die than be cut off from their shared mind. This makes them predictable in crisis situations. They will always choose the option that keeps them connected to other Luminors. The final section covered the Netherians, or Cloud. Neth Kareem leads what they call a deep hunt pack. These are traditional formations that date back thousands of years. They use intimidation and area denial tactics, but they're actually quite vulnerable to coordinated attacks that break their formation integrity. She paused, looking directly at Colonel Min-ho. All three species share one critical weakness. They've never encountered a predator species that uses deception as a primary weapon. They expect threats to be obvious and direct. Commander Choi Ji-Wan stepped forward from his position at the communications console. As head of fleet intelligence, he had access to information that would terrify the alien delegates if they knew it existed. His expression remained neutral as he began his briefing, but his words carried implications that would reshape galactic politics. Intelligence summary. We have complete tactical readouts on all three fleets: ship specifications, crew complements, supply levels, communication frequencies, and command structures. We know the personal histories of every major commander, their tactical preferences, and their psychological weak points. The main display filled with detailed schematics of alien vessels. Every weapon placement, every shield generator, every critical system was clearly marked. The Vrexian battlecruiser Conquest of Worlds has a faulty power coupling on Deck 7. The Luminor collective ship Harmony of Light has outdated encryption on their Hive-Link communications. The Netherian cloud ship Voidstalker has been operating on reduced crew for 6 months due to a food shortage. Minho studied the information with the calm attention of a professional hunter examining tracks. How long have we been gathering this intelligence? 18 months for the Vrexians, 2 years for the Luminors, and almost 3 years for the Netherians, Choi replied. Every cultural exchange, every trade negotiation, every diplomatic visit has provided additional data. They've been teaching us how to defeat them without realizing it. The implications hung in the air like a predator's scent. While the galaxy believed humans were harmless mediators, they had actually been conducting the most comprehensive intelligence operation in galactic history. Every smile, every handshake, every peaceful gesture had been covered for systematic reconnaissance. Lieutenant Commander Han Yuna looked up from her workstation. Sir, stealth reconnaissance confirms that all three species have reinforcement fleets positioned in their home systems. The Vrexians have 2 additional battle groups at Vrex Prime. The Luminars have their grand collective ships in the Luminos cluster. The Netherians have 6 deep hunt packs scattered across their territory. Excellent, Minho replied. Dr. Yoon, what's your assessment of their response patterns if they feel truly threatened? The xenobiologist consulted her data. The Vrexians will become more aggressive and attempt to establish dominance through overwhelming force. The Luminars will seek safety in numbers and try to merge their fleets into larger collective formations. The Netherians will scatter and attempt to use their traditional hiding tactics, or predictable responses, Minho observed. Commander Choi, send word to Earth Command. Inform them that we're ready to demonstrate why humans don't need to ask permission to hunt. The communications officer began encoding the message using frequencies that no alien species had ever detected. The human communication network spanned the galaxy, invisible to other civilizations who had never learned to look for signals that didn't follow standard patterns. Fleet positions, Minho asked. Navigator Ohiji activated a galaxy-wide tactical display. Green dots appeared throughout known space, marking human vessels that had been dismissed as merchant ships, research vessels, or diplomatic transports. The reality was far different. Every human ship in space was part of a coordinated fleet that could be activated with a single command. Third Fleet is positioned near Vrex Prime. 7th Fleet is in the Luminos cluster. 2nd Fleet is distributed throughout Netherian space. All ships report ready for immediate action, she reported. And our special assets. Commander Choice smiled for the first time during the briefing. Ghost Squadron has been in position for 3 weeks. Stealth destroyers are currently docked with orbital stations around all 3 homeworlds. The aliens think they're conducting routine maintenance and supply runs. The full scope of human preparation became clear. While the galaxy debated territorial rights in the Kepler system, humans had positioned forces capable of striking at the heart of 3 civilizations simultaneously. It was an impossible feat of coordination and planning that no other species had attempted in recorded history. Timeline, Minho asked. All forces can begin operations within 6 hours of your command, Choi reported. Full demonstration can be completed within 12 hours. The aliens will have a choice: withdraw from Kepler or watch their homeworlds become examples of what happens when prey animals try to challenge apex predators. Colonel Minho walked to the main viewport, looking out at the stars that had seemed so peaceful just hours earlier. Behind him, his officers continued their preparations with the quiet efficiency of a hunting pack that had finally cornered its Filmia. Prey, send the activation signal to all fleet commanders, he ordered. Operation Apex Hunter begins now. It's time to show the galaxy what humans really are. Throughout space, green dots began moving toward their targets. The hunt had begun. The first sign that everything had changed came when space itself seemed to bend around 3 different star systems. Ships that had been invisible suddenly appeared, as if stepping out from behind curtains that no one knew existed. The transition from hyperspace should have been impossible at such precise coordinates. But human vessels materialized exactly where they intended to be. High Commander Vexter was reviewing battle plans aboard his flagship when the proximity alarms began screaming. The bridge of the conquest of worlds erupted in chaos as sensor operators tried to make sense of readings that contradicted everything they knew about space travel. Report, Vexter commanded, his mandibles clicking with irritation. We have massive hyperspace signatures appearing throughout the home system, his communications officer stammered. Unknown vessels are dropping out of jump space near Verx Prime, the orbital shipyards, and all 3 military bases. Vexter, as for arms, moved to his weapon controls by instinct. How many ships? 47 vessels confirmed, sir. More signatures are still resolving. They appeared simultaneously across a distance that should take 3 hours to travel. The tactical display showed green markers spreading throughout Vrexian space like an infection. Ships were appearing near critical infrastructure, military installations, and population centers with surgical precision. It was a coordination feat that the Vrexian military had considered theoretically impossible in the Luminose cluster. Primary node, Lumashira, experienced something that no Lumina had felt in centuries: complete disconnection from her collective. The harmonic frequencies that bound her consciousness to 17 other nodes suddenly filled with interference patterns that made communication impossible. Her crystalline form pulsed with panic as she tried to re-establish contact. Around her, subordinate nodes flickered with confused light as they too found themselves cut off from the group mind that defined their existence. Collective harmony disrupted, reported secondary node, Lomkith, his form cycling through colors. That indicated severe distress. External interference detected across all communication frequencies. Source unknown. Through her ship's sensors, Lumashira could see human vessels positioned throughout their space. They hadn't attacked, hadn't demanded surrender, hadn't even opened communications. They simply existed where they shouldn't be, doing something. That shouldn't be possible. Warcloud, Neth Kareem, felt the disruption in the deep hunt. Before his sensors registered the intruders, his gaseous form contracted with instinctive alarm as something fundamental changed in the void around his territory. The Netherian leader had survived 3 centuries by trusting his predator instincts, and those instincts were now screaming. Warnings. Pack Brothers report strange readings throughout the hunting grounds, his lieutenant Nethvane announced, his own form shifting to defensive configurations. Ships have appeared near our breeding worlds, our resource clouds, and the sacred void spaces. Nethkareem expanded his consciousness to touch the edges of his pack's awareness. What he found there chilled his ancient soul. Human ships occupied positions that would take his fastest vessels days to reach. Yet, they had arrived simultaneously and without warning, on Earth. Fleet Admiral Kim Jae-yeon stood in the primary command center, deep beneath the Korean peninsula. Banks of quantum computers processed tactical data from across the galaxy, while holographic displays showed the positions of every human ship in known space. The operation he was about to begin had been planned for decades and would reshape galactic civilization in a matter of hours. "All fleets report ready," announced Captain Song Dami from the communications array. 3rd Fleet at Rex Prime, 7th Fleet at Luminos Cluster, 2nd Fleet distributed throughout Netherian space. Ghost Squadron confirms stealth positioning complete. Admiral Kim activated the galaxy-wide emergency broadcast system. Every communication device in known space, from military command centers to civilian entertainment systems, would receive his message. The transmission began on all frequencies, simultaneously, cutting through diplomatic channels, military networks, civilian broadcasts with equal authority. "This is Fleet Admiral Kim Jae-yeon of the Human Expeditionary Force." His voice carried none of the warmth that aliens had come to expect from human communications. This was not the voice of a mediator or diplomat. This was the voice of a species that had never been prey, speaking with the absolute authority of apex predators. "You have 60 standard minutes to withdraw all military assets from the Kepler system and return to your respective home territories. This is not a negotiation. This is not a diplomatic request. This is a demonstration of capability and a final warning." The transmission paused, letting the implications sink in across dozens of worlds. In the silence, sensors throughout the galaxy registered the true scope of human deployment. Ships appeared on long-range scanners where empty space had existed moments before. Stealth technology that surpassed anything the galaxy had seen revealed human vessels positioned near every major military installation, trade route, and population center. "For too long, you have mistaken human patience for weakness," Admiral Kim continued. "You have confused our diplomatic efforts with inability to wage war. You have assumed that because we choose peaceful solutions, we are incapable of violent ones. Today, these assumptions end." Lieutenant Commander Han Yuna coordinated the demonstration from her position aboard the stealth destroyer Invisible Hunter. Her ship was docked with the main orbital station above Rex Prime, disguised as a routine maintenance vessel. For 3 weeks, Rexian technicians had been working alongside her crew, never suspecting that they were helping human engineers map every critical system on their most important military base. "Demonstrate Phase 1, she ordered quietly. Throughout Rexian space, power grids flickered in precise patterns. Not failures or attacks, but deliberate displays that spelled out messages in ancient Rexian script. The lights that dimmed and brightened told a simple story. "We are here. We have been watching. We can reach anything." In the Luminos cluster, the interference patterns disrupting Luminor communications shifted to create new harmonics. The frequencies that had blocked their hive mind suddenly carried music, complex mathematical songs that no alien species should have been able to compose. The melodies spoke directly to Luminar consciousness in ways that bypassed their rational thought and touched their deepest fears. Netherian gas clouds found their atmospheric processors cycling through unusual patterns. The machinery that maintained their breathing environments began producing trace compounds that carried scent messages in the ancient Netherian chemical language. The scent told of hunters in the void of prey that had become predator of a species that could strike from anywhere at any time. Commander Choi Juan monitored alien communications from the Soul's Pride, watching as panic spread through 3 civilizations simultaneously. Military channels filled with confused reports. Civilian networks carried rumors that grew more terrified with each retelling. Government leaders tried to maintain calm while privately sending increasingly desperate messages to their military commanders. "Sir, Phyrexian High Command is attempting to contact their fleet in the Kepler system," reported communications officer. Beak Min Ho. Luminor Collective is broadcasting emergency harmonics to all nodes. Etherian deep hunt leaders are calling for immediate pack convergence. Admiral Kim's voice returned to the galaxy-wide broadcast. You are experiencing a small sample of human capability. We have positioned assets throughout your territories without your knowledge or permission. We have studied your weaknesses, mapped your infrastructure, and prepared responses to every possible action you might take. The tactical displays showed alien fleets beginning to move. Phyrexian battle groups turned toward their home system. Luminor collective ships broke formation and began converging on the Luminos cluster. Netherian cloud ships abandoned their positions in the Kepler system and scattered toward their breeding grounds. Your military doctrines, your tactical preferences, your psychological responses, we have cataloged all of them. Every cultural exchange, every trade negotiation, every diplomatic meeting has provided us with intelligence about how your species thinks and reacts under pressure. Dr. Yun Minji watched the alien responses from her position in the fleet's psychological warfare center. Every movement, every communication pattern, every decision matched her predictions with startling accuracy. 3 civilizations were behaving exactly as human analysis had determined they would when faced with an apex predator that had revealed itself. The demonstration you were witnessing required no weapons fire, no destruction of property, no loss of life. Admiral Kim continued. We have shown you that we can appear anywhere in your space at any time. We have proven that your most secure facilities are not secure from us. Most importantly, we have revealed that the diplomatic humans you thought you knew were never what they seemed. The 60-minute deadline was unnecessary. Within 30 minutes, the Kepler system was empty of all alien military forces. 3 fleets that have faced each other for months in intense standoff fled toward their home systems without firing a single shot. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened just 4 hours after the demonstration ended. The massive chamber that had hosted countless diplomatic discussions now felt like a courtroom where 3 civilizations awaited judgment. Representatives from dozens of species filled the observation galleries, their whispered conversations creating a nervous buzz that echoed off the crystalline walls. High Commander Vexter sat rigid in his delegation's section, his usually confident posture replaced by the careful stillness of a predator that had suddenly discovered it was prey. His mandibles clicked in irregular patterns that betrayed his mental state to anyone who understood Rexian body language. The battle armor he wore as a symbol of strength now seemed like nothing more than decorative metal. Primary node, Lumashira S. Crystalline form flickered with unstable light patterns. Her connection to the collective had been restored, but the memory of isolation still haunted her consciousness. The other Luminor nodes around her pulsed with synchronized fear, their shared mind now carrying the knowledge that their greatest terror could be inflicted at will by a species they had considered harmless. War-Cloud Nethkarim had barely maintained his humanoid shape since arriving at the station. Ancient instincts older than civilization itself kept trying to make him scatter into defensive formations. His gaseous form rippled with colors that other Netherians recognized as deep fear mixed with grudging respect for a superior hunter. Ambassador Kim Taiho entered the chamber with the same warm smile he had worn 3 days earlier. Nothing about his appearance had changed. Yet every alien I tracked his movement with the nervous attention usually reserved for dangerous predators. Captain Li Sujin walked beside him, her presence no longer seeming ceremonial to anyone who understood what humans were capable of. Council moderator Kexaloth called for order, though his ancient voice carried tremors that hadn't been there before. This emergency session is convened to address the recent events in the Kepler system and surrounding territories. We will begin with testimony from the affected parties. Stor stood first, but his usual aggressive confidence was gone. Phyrexian Empire withdraws all claims to the Kepler system. We acknowledge human authority in this matter and request permission to return our forces to home territory. K. The words came out flat and mechanical, spoken by a warrior who had never imagined he would surrender without fighting. Around the chamber, representatives from other species shifted uncomfortably as they realized that the galaxy's most aggressive military power had just submitted to human authority without resistance. Lumashira's harmonic response carried undertones of defeat that made several empathic species wince. The Luminor Collective also withdraws from the disputed system. We seek clarification of human territorial claims and request guidelines for future expansion to avoid conflicts. Neth Kareem's reply came as scent chemicals that the translation systems converted to words heavy with submission. The Deep Hunt acknowledges the superior hunters. We retreat to traditional grounds and will not challenge human authority. Taiho nodded graciously, as if accepting routine diplomatic concessions rather than the surrender of three major powers. The United Earth Federation appreciates your cooperation in resolving this territorial dispute peacefully. We believe this outcome serves everyone's interests. The chamber fell silent, except for the nervous rustling of various species. Then a voice from the observation gallery called out a question that everyone wanted answered, but no one dared ask. What? Are humans? Really? Taiho's smile never wavered as he gestured to a section of the chamber that had been empty moments before. A holographic projection activated, showing Senior Analyst Beek Seo-yoon standing in what appeared to be a military command center. Her presence filled the space with clinical authority as she began the most important briefing in galactic history. That is an excellent question, Seo-yoon began, her voice carrying the calm confidence of someone explaining simple facts to students. For the past 50 years, humanity has participated in galactic civilization under what we call the Peaceful Integration Protocol. This protocol was designed to allow us to study other species while contributing to galactic stability. The main display activated behind her, showing images of human evolution that most aliens had never seen. Bipedal figures carrying primitive weapons, hunting creatures 10 times their size through coordinated pack tactics. The progression continued through the development of tools, agriculture, and warfare. Humans evolved on a world where everything was trying to kill everything else. Seo-yoon continued. Our planet's ecosystem was built on predation, competition, and survival of the most adaptable. We didn't develop intelligence to build art or philosophy. We developed it to hunt more efficiently. The images shifted to show human military history. Ancient battles where small human forces defeated larger enemies through superior tactics. Naval warfare where humans used the ocean itself as a weapon. Aerial combat where humans learned to dominate the sky. You believe we are diplomats because that is what we wanted you to believe, she explained to the silent chamber. But humans have never been prey animals. We are pack hunters from a world where everything evolved to kill everything else. Developed a diplomacy not from weakness, but as another tool for dominance. Captain Nam Soman appeared on another projection, standing in what was clearly a human military training facility. Behind her, human soldiers moved through combat exercises that demonstrated speed, coordination, and tactical adaptability that no other species could match. How humans actually trained, she announced. Not the ceremonial displays you have seen at diplomatic functions, but real preparation for warfare against any possible enemy. The training footage showed humans adapting instantly to changing scenarios, coordinating attacks with seamless communication, and demonstrating the pack hunting behaviors that have made them the apex predators of Earth. The exercises included simulations against every known alien military doctrine, with humans consistently emerging victorious. Every human you have met, every diplomat, every traitor, every scientist, all of them are trained for combat, Captain Nam continued, "We do not have separate military and civilian populations. Every human is a potential soldier because our entire species evolved from hunters." Dr. Lim Dae-Hyun's projection activated in the third section of the chamber. The human psychologist's calm demeanor made her words even more terrifying as she revealed the scope of human deception. "You invited us into your homes, your governments, your military councils," she stated with clinical precision. "You told us your weaknesses, your fears, your tactical doctrines. You taught us your languages, your cultures, your methods of thinking. Most importantly, you showed us how to manipulate your behavior." The main display filled with psychological profiles of every major alien species. Detailed analyses of fear, responses, decision-making patterns, cultural vulnerabilities created a comprehensive guide to dominating galactic civilization without firing a shot. Every cultural exchange was a reconnaissance mission, Dr. Lim explained. Every trade, negotiation was an intelligence-gathering operation. Every diplomatic meeting was an opportunity to study how your species responds to different stimuli. You thanked us for listening while we learned how to hunt you. The chamber erupted in panicked conversations as the implications became clear. Species that had shared their most sensitive information with human advisors realized they had been giving detailed instructions to potential predators. Governments that had welcomed human observers understood they had invited hunters into their most secure facilities. Taeho raised his hand, and the chamber fell silent instantly. The casual gesture carried absolute authority now that everyone understood what humans were capable of. "We want to emphasize that this revelation changes nothing about our commitment to galactic peace," he said, his diplomatic tone intact, but carrying new weight. "Humans prefer cooperation to conflict because it serves our long-term interests better than warfare." He paused, looking at each alien delegation in turn. "However, we also want to ensure that everyone understands the consequences of forcing humans to abandon diplomatic solutions. The demonstration you witnessed was conducted without loss of life or destruction of property. We hope it will remain the most aggressive action we ever need to take." The message was clear. Humans would continue to play their role as galactic mediators. But now everyone knew what lurked beneath the diplomatic facade. The choice between cooperation and conflict remained available. But the consequences of choosing conflict had been made abundantly clear. As the session adjourned, alien delegates filed out of the chamber in subdued silence. The galaxy had learned that its peacekeepers were actually its apex predators, and that lesson would reshape every future interaction with humanity. Behind his diplomatic smile, Taeho watched them leave and knew that true peace had finally come to the galaxy, not through mutual understanding, but through healthy fear. 6 months after the demonstration, the galaxy had transformed into something unrecognizable. The change wasn't marked by warfare or destruction, by the kind of perfect order that only comes when everyone understands exactly where they stand. In the food chain, the Kepler system stood empty of military forces. Its 3 contested worlds now marked as neutral territory under human oversight. Mining operations continued under strict quotas, managed by human administrators who somehow made decisions that satisfied all 3 species while preventing any future conflicts. Ambassador Kim Taeho walked through the corridors of the Galactic Council Station, noting how differently aliens behaved around him now. Where once they had offered casual greetings and friendly conversation, they now stepped aside with respectful nods and careful politeness. His diplomatic smile remained unchanged, but everyone who saw it now understood what it really meant. The morning session focused on trade disputes between the Zentari Commerce Guild and the Pelax Mining Consortium. Both species had submitted their cases to human arbitration without being asked, along with detailed financial records and complete tactical assessments of their commercial fleets. The information they provided was so comprehensive that human analysts barely needed to investigate further. The Zentari Guild accepts human judgment in this matter. Now skilled Master Zenala, his serpentine form coiled in a posture of submission. We await your guidance on acceptable trade routes and pricing structures. Spilex, Representative Pelgorix, nodded agreement, his rocky exterior grinding softly as he spoke. The consortium defers to human expertise in commercial law. We request permission to continue operations under human supervision. Taiho reviewed the submitted documents with the same patient attention he had always shown. But now his careful study carried different implications. Everyone in the chamber knew he wasn't just reviewing legal precedents. He was analyzing potential threats and calculating the most efficient way to maintain order. Both organizations show admirable commitment to peaceful commerce, Taiho announced. After his review, the United Earth Federation approves continued operations with minor route adjustments to prevent future conflicts. The speed of resolution was remarkable. Disputes that would have taken months of negotiation were settled in hours because both parties desperately wanted to avoid giving humans any reason to demonstrate their capabilities again. Fleet Commander San Jie stood on the bridge of the UEF Soul's Honor, watching alien vessels navigate the Hyades trade route with mechanical precision. Every ship maintained exact distances, followed approved flight paths, transmitted identification codes before entering any system with human presence. Traffic control reports all vessels complying with new navigation protocols, announced Navigation Officer Park Yansu. No deviations from approved routes in the past 72 hours. The transformation of galactic shipping had been voluntary but immediate. Trade guilds, military fleets, and civilian transports all adopted human navigation standards without being ordered to do so. The alternative, traveling through space where human ships might interpret your presence as threatening, was simply unacceptable to most species. Any piracy reports? Commander San asked. None in the past 6 weeks, replied Security Officer Kim Daeho. The last pirate group surrendered to Zentari authorities after receiving a single transmission from our patrol ship in the area. Criminal activity throughout the galaxy had dropped 2 levels not seen in recorded history. Pirates, smugglers, and raiders had simply stopped operating rather than risk attracting human attention. The few who continued their illegal activities were quickly turned over to authorities by their own species, who preferred to handle problems internally rather than invite human intervention. On the bridge of the merchant vessel Lucky Prophet, Captain Chen Wusik reviewed shipping manifests while his crew prepared for departure from the busy commercial station at Kepler 1. His ship had been among the first to establish regular trade routes through the former conflict zone, and business had never been better. All cargo secured and manifests filed with Human Trade Authority, reported First Officer Yuen Seojin. We have priority clearance for the Vrexian trade run. The irony wasn't lost on Captain Chen. The same Vrexian worlds that had been preparing for war 6 months ago now competed eagerly for human trade contracts. Vrexian merchants offered premium prices for any goods certified by human traders, treating the approval as a guarantee of quality and safety. Any special requests from Vrex Prime? Chan asked. The usual cultural exchange materials, Seo Jin replied. Vrexian historians want more information about human military tactics for their research archives. The request was typical of the new galactic attitude toward humanity. Species that had once dismissed human history as irrelevant now studied it with academic fascination, trying to understand how such effective predators had remained hidden for so long. Human military academies received more alien exchange student applications than they could process. Dr. Kim Min-jong walked through the Xenocultural Research Facility on Earth, where the galaxy's leading academics came to study human society. The irony of aliens traveling to the human homeworld to learn about warfare wasn't lost on anyone involved. But the research served important purposes for for maintaining galactic stability. The Luminor Collective has submitted their annual psychological profile for review, announced research coordinator Lee Jinyuk. They want to ensure their behavior patterns remain acceptable to human standards. The voluntary submission of psychological data had become standard practice among galactic civilizations. Species regularly provided detailed analysis of their cultural development, military capabilities, and social structures to human researchers. They called it academic cooperation, but everyone understood it was really a form of preventive surrender. Any concerning developments? Dr. Kim asked. The Vrexians are developing new battle doctrines, but they're specifically designed to complement human tactics rather than challenge them, Lee reported. The Netherians have restructured their hunting packs to avoid any territories where humans have claimed interest. The transformation went beyond military matters. Art, literature, music, and philosophy throughout the galaxy now carried themes that reflected the new understanding of human nature. Children of dozens of species grew up with stories that taught them to respect the smiling hunters who kept the peace between worlds. President Kong Minseok stood in the Oval Office of the United Earth Federation headquarters, reviewing reports from human administrators across the galaxy. The integration of human authority into galactic civilization had proceeded more smoothly than anyone had dared hope, but success brought its own responsibilities. Colonial Governor reports from the Outer Rim show full compliance with resource allocation guidelines, announced Chief of Staff No Sang-yoon. Military commanders report no hostile actions against human personnel or interests in the past 90 days. The transformation was complete, but required constant maintenance. Human administrators, military officers, and diplomatic personnel maintained the new order through their visible presence and the memory of what humans could do when challenged. Any requests for increased human presence? President Kang asked. 17 systems have formally requested permanent human peacekeeping stations. No replied. The Galactic Council has approved all requests and offered to fund construction and maintenance. The ultimate irony of the situation wasn't lost on human leadership. The galaxy was paying them to maintain an occupation that everyone pretended was voluntary cooperation. Alien civilizations competed to host human military bases, viewing them as guarantees of protection rather than symbols of conquest. A communication alert interrupted the briefing. The message came from the Galactic Council with the highest priority designation, marked for immediate presidential attention. Sir, it's an invitation to establish a permanent human seat on the Galactic Security Council. No announced after reviewing the transmission. They're offering chairman privileges and veto authority over all military actions. President Kong smiled with the same diplomatic warmth that Ambassador Tai Ho had made famous. Send our acceptance and gratitude for their confidence in human leadership. As evening fell over the Korean peninsula, children across Earth learned about their place in the galaxy through bedtime stories that would have terrified their parents a generation earlier. They heard about brave humans who traveled between the stars, keeping peace among alien civilizations that respected their strength and wisdom. On distant worlds, alien children heard different versions of the same stories, tales that taught them about the smiling humans who visited their planets, and the importance of never forgetting what those patient eyes had seen when the galaxy learned what apex predators could accomplish when they stopped pretending to be anything else. The galaxy had achieved perfect peace at last, built not on mutual understanding or shared values, but on the honest recognition of power and the wisdom to accept it gracefully. In the new order, everyone knew their place, and the hunters no longer needed to hide among the sheep. The masquerade was over, and the galaxy was better for it.